massive regret. Last bull market, I made huge mistakes, and right now as I look at this chart, I think that many people are making the same mistakes. In this video, I'm going to tell you the top coins that I would be buying if I was entering into crypto right now. I'm going to show you a very straightforward tutorial on how to find some of the best coins and the best value in the entire market right now. So hit that like button and let's get into building a new portfolio. Now guys, this chart is incredibly important to understand. The markets are designed in a way to get you, the retail investor, to do stupid things. We go through a depression phase after a bear market. We think it's all over. We then get rebuilt. Hope and excitement enter us again, like we've been seeing through the end of last year and into the beginning of this year. We then get shaken out in a period like we're seeing right now. And as soon as that shakeout's finished, we then enter into an explosive bull market. And this means that right this second, towards the end of this shakeout phase, is where we see the biggest opportunity. So what do we need to do? We need to find the altcoins that were succeeding, that were growing the most during this hope phase, and then have shaken out pretty hard, and then we can get into them. How do we do that? Very simple. Well, first of all, we need to understand this one thing. Most of you will typically turn on cryptobubbles.net and you're asking questions about these coins. You're asking about Brett, you're asking about Not, you're asking about Jasmine. Why? Because these are the big green bubbles. And big green bubbles typically will flip into big red ones straight after. And that's because 99% of you are following this part, because you buy into optimism and enthusiasm. You buy into the euphoria, like you've seen on Brett and stuff recently, and then the market turns against you, and then you sell into the discouragement and dismay that is caused by the dip in the market, when really we should just basically do the opposite. If we can really figure out that we're depressed and scared about certain coins, those are the ones we should be buying, and the ones we're hyped and excited about, probably we should be selling. Therefore, this can be very misleading. What do we need to do? Well, if you're paying attention to Alex Becker, Elio Trades, or any particular influencer back in like November, December, January, they were talking about a handful of coins. And that's in that hope phase. And if you can go and remember what those coins were that those people were talking about, then you'll understand that there's some big opportunities right now. Because if you watch Alex Becker's most recent video, he'll tell you he was down $12.5 million, and probably by now it's even more than that. And that's not because he's a bad trader by any means. It's because he was speculating in the hope phase, and now he's in the shakeout phase. He's gone quiet. He's probably just doubling down and DCAing into certain coins right now, which is probably what we should be doing. So I'm going to make this tutorial very simple. Come across to coinmarketcap.com and you will see something significant. Market caps, market capitalization, how much projects are worth. What do we know? We know simply that the coins in the top 500 are pretty solid bets. How do we know this? Well, they've already got significant amounts of investment in them, and they didn't just magic this money out of nowhere. And this is a very handy little filter that we're going to find over on CoinMarketCap. Now, we're going to click on filters, and we are then going to go to where it says customize. And then we're going to go down to where it says price change, and I want you to select 90 days percentage. And I'll tell you why. Because right now, as we look at Bitcoin, it is currently June 18th. And to go back to the 12th of March, when Bitcoin first pumped, was about 3 months ago. Or in other words, 90 days. Therefore, since this period of time, with the exception of like altcoins and a few, other coins, we've seen altcoins bleeding, massively bleeding during this period of time for various reasons. But you're wrong. But they haven't been bleeding because they're shit, okay? They've been bleeding because they were overinflated during this period of time in the hope phase, and now they're in the shakeout phase. And what I'm going to do with this 90-day percentage is I'm going to click it so that we can see the best performing coins, and we can say to ourselves, do not buy any of these coins right now. If you're holding them, fantastic, good for you, but you don't want to be buying into coins that have already massively pumped. And this is why, because many of those coins sit in a period of time like this. It's nothing personal, okay? People get really hurt and upset about this. But don't buy into coins if you're feeling like this about them. If you go into chats and people are like euphoric, enthusiastic about any of these coins, don't buy them. Buy the coins that everyone's like going, oh, it's a scam, it's rubbish, I hate it, I'm down like 90% in whatever. Personally, I want to buy those coins because that's where the opportunity is. So click that again and then see what you get. You can see now we've got top 100 market cap coins that in the last 90 days are down the most. And you're like, well, why would you be doing that? Well, because if you could think back to like 3 or 4 months ago, what was everyone talking about? Everyone was talking about Pyth Network, okay? Because Alex Becker and various other big YouTubers were talking about these coins. They got very excited, really hyped up, because those were really fantastic projects. But now they've pulled back to a nice area that we can go and take a look at. Come down the list, we've got Tau Bitenza. Everyone was talking about Tau Bitenza, and yet now no one wants to hear about it because it's down 54%. Come through. Well, we got Say, 53% down, Avalanche, AVAX down 50%, Fetch AI 46%. Can you remember these names? Okay, Akash down 43%. You can just go through this list, and if I was brand new to crypto today, I would say there is probably a very easy chance for me to build a portfolio from these right now and see massive returns. But you're not doing that, are you? You're going and chasing this hopium, this dream of being able to make your millions on Brett and being able to make your millions in Jasmine and what other coins are out there. I'm not saying these coins won't do well in the long run, but they're already high, but they're already in the euphoria phase. Buy the fear, buy when people are telling you it's a scam, it's rubbish, the team are out there, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and by no means am I telling you to buy every single one of these coins. But here's the first quick tip, is to go and check whether or not big influential YouTubers such as Alex Becker and Elio Trades and others have been talking about these. Why? Because, well, even with a channel the size of mine, I found that when I talk about a coin, it can significantly move the needle. But Alex Becker is probably about 7 or 8 times more influential than me. Therefore, he's more than likely going to start talking about these coins again, having bought the dip himself, and then he can be riding behind it. Now, I get it. You probably don't have hours and hours to watch his videos. So simply go to glasp.co, okay, and download the free Chrome extension, and that will allow you to copy this transcript from one of his videos. You can then paste it into Claude and say, which coins is he bullish on? And you can see this transcript says there's no coin. So what do? How about this transcript? And then I press enter and I wait, and it's going to tell me all the coins that Alex Becker's been buying. You can take various different ones from like Elio Trades. You can chuck them all into Claude. Very simple. Okay, interesting. Look, you can see that it's now told me a list of all of the coins that Alex Becker is bullish on in one of the videos that he's talked about. Beam, Super, Miria, Sidus, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and remember some of these names. Because if we go back to here and come down through the list, you'll start to notice that maybe some of those coins come up here. Okay, we've got Beam here. I know in the past he's talked about Bitunix, he's talked about Pyth Network. So this is very straightforward and easy if you just want to piggyback off someone else. But if I was to be a proper responsible crypto investor who doesn't just blindly buy because someone's talked about a particular coin, I might at least go and do a little bit of research onto some of these coins. So let's talk about the first one on this list, okay, Beam. And there's obviously other coins you can do this with, so just use this as a framework. Disclosure, I don't hold any Beam tokens, but let's see how we get along. Go to TradingView, click and look at what happened to Beam. Since this top, that happened, as we remember, around the 11th of March, which was when Bitcoin pretty much hit its first high, okay, around the 11th of March. We can see that Beam has had a very healthy 58% shakeout. And I know a lot of you are probably hurting because you probably bought up here. So what do we know? Well, in bull markets, the coins that perform very strongly in the hope phase get shaken out pretty hard, but these coins are pretty reliable to get involved in for the bull market. Why was Alex Becker bullish on this? Well, look at what happened. It got launched on Binance around the 14th of November. In a very short space of time, it did like an 8x from there. Beam was talked about everywhere. People were very hyped about what was going on. For good reason. Right now, it's lost a lot of that hype and excitement, and now it runs back down into a, guess what, a buy zone. How do we identify buy zones? What we're looking for is a lot of significant upside. Okay, we saw a lot of significant upside. We then want to identify where this significant upside came from. Where did it come from? It came from this big sideways piece of action before suddenly, bang, it blows up. Okay, it blows up from this area, tells me that big money wanted to buy Beam in here before they sent it. Beam is now approaching this zone again. Therefore, Beam looks very good for a purchase, in my opinion, of course, around the 1.6 cents. But I don't want to buy it yet. I don't want to throw a limit order in yet because I need to find out about it. So what do? I click on the white paper. I go and learn a little bit more about Beam and why people were so enthusiastic about it before. I can even copy and paste the white paper into Claude, and I can go and find out whether or not Beam is something I should be interested in. Native token of the Beam network, gaming focused, blockchain deployed, and subnet on Avalanche. These are all very key trending words. Launched by Merit Circle, a huge company with a lot of funds to drive this forward. After the shakeout, after they've bought back in, this all sounds pretty positive. I come across to Twitter and I want to check something. Copy this, paste that into twitterscore.io, and I'm looking for this chart, okay? Followers statistics. Look, this is what I want. I want to see it flatline. I want to see it flatline. Why? Because no one's paying attention. The best opportunity comes from good coins with good fundamentals in the right narrative that have been talked about and hyped up before, that have died off, that people aren't talking about anymore. And that's where the biggest opportunity comes, because that's when the VCs and the smart money buys in. And remember, this is backed by Merit Circles. So eventually, when we get this next phase driven, the liquidity that is fed into this initially will come from venture capital funds. It will come from the likes of Merit Circle, and this will be used to drive the liquidity and cause this initial pump. Then all the people who were not paying attention because they all sold the dip will start to pay attention again. They will all start to buy. The VCs who were buying down here will then start to sell to these people. These people who were selling the bottom down here will just get wrecked and chewed up yet again. And it happens time and time and time again. What about Pyth Network? Again, I know that there was big YouTubers talking about this. I come down and I see that Pyth was very hyped. Everyone was talking about it. It did like a 19x. Everyone was so keen on this. It then pulls back nearly 71%. No one wants to know anything about it. How can we find buy zones? Well, this is less easy to find buy zones. There's definitely one down here, but you can see wherever we've got these big green candles coming from, or big black ones in this case, you can see one comes out of here. There's another one slightly higher up here, and you can see maybe there's another one slightly lower down here. What we want to then identify by pulling these across is whether or not we are near them. You can see right now that Pyth falls into this particular buy zone. I would anticipate that, last time we were in this buy zone, Pyth pumped a good, 38-40% in 3 days. Once, altcoin season begins, and it will begin at some point, many of these coins will bounce from an original buy zone. So what we're looking for is to DCA into these buy zones. Also, if you were buying into crypto up here, and now you're like, oh, I've been absolutely punished towards the downside. Well, that's why, you have an opportunity to DCA in here, because you can bring your average price paid down significantly. Let's say I put $100 in here. Now my $100 is worth $30, okay? That, if I put in another $100 down here, means I only then have to go up a few percent to kind of be back to break even, okay? Which means that I don't need to see it recover back to here. It only needs to recover to around here, and I'm back to break even. But what most people are doing is they're panicking. They're massively down right now. And I understand, me too. But you need to be buying in and DCAing into the coins that have been punished the most, because when they turn around, and they will, because we're going to exit that shakeout phase and enter into the bull market, then we will see the biggest growth from these coins that they've punished, not from the ones that everyone's been talking about more recently. And you can use this, trends.google.com, go and identify where the trends are when people aren't talking about them anymore, because they will come back. AI crypto is a pretty obvious trend that's going to emerge from this shakeout period as probably one of the strongest. So on our list of coins, can we come down? We can find AI projects that have been shaken out pretty aggressively, such as Fetch AI. All the projects that everyone was asking me about for months and months, suddenly no one wants to know about them anymore because something else is kind of taking away everyone's attention. There's something very obvious about this as well. The attention is being taken away from you because smart money out there are moving into position. This right now is a deception plan. It's designed to get you all super bored of crypto, to all think that crypto bull market's over, to make you go and start playing with more risky assets every single day. That might be meme coins, it might be something else, and you're being led astray while the biggest opportunity still sits here right in front of you. Every day people are like, can you look at my portfolio? Can you tell me what I should be buying? Very simple. Go to coinmarketcap.com. Hit the 90 days, look for the biggest losers in the last 90 days since Bitcoin topped out, and you will find probably the best opportunity. Look for certain narratives, look into AI, look into gaming, and if you get a crossover, like Beam clearly had a crossover between gaming and AI, that's probably a bit of a winning formula. A cash network, also a crossover between Deepin and AI, was pretty much a winning formula. That's why it was blowing up. And then look at other narratives. BRC20 Stacks absolutely tanked more recently. Stacks making the best of Bitcoin layer 2 solutions. I've also talked in the past about other coins, BVM, BFI. All of these particular ecosystems and coins have been absolutely crushed. It's really not that difficult, guys. Go and find these coins that are actually actively producing and working on things. And what might that look like? Well, I've talked about BVM in the past. Go and look at the weekly recaps. Go and see what they're doing. The team here has introduced BVM version 2, which is going to launch in just 2 days' time. Zero knowledge BVM light nodes, allowing people to build zero knowledge contracts on Bitcoin. Unbelievable, okay? They're burning tokens. The team's updating things all the time. Go and look at Beam, see about updates, see whether they've started to partner with different projects, okay? Don't get dragged around by the shiny objects, okay? Go back to the dullest, the greyest looking, dirtiest looking charts you could find for good quality projects, and you really can't go that wrong right now. It's so straightforward, and I understand that many of you aped in too hard during the hope period, and maybe you just got to sit and deal with this right now, unless you can DCA in or whatever to drag down your averages, whatever you want to do. But I'm telling you, this is not a hopeless situation. The more hopeless and scared and panicked you feel, the more you should be like doubling down on your research into these areas and avoiding some of the traps out there. And every day, what do the traps look like? The big green bubbles. Bubbles do what? They burst. And these red bubbles burst into green ones, and the green bubbles burst into red ones. I mean, they're probably not right now because Ton's absolutely blowing up. And I made a video on Ton just on Friday, which you absolutely should watch, and I'll link it to the end of this video because we talk about why Ton is blowing up and is the hot narrative right now. And we are early because no one's really quite talking about it yet. We talked about Hedgehog in the Fog on that video, which is up 60% since we did. Talked about Redo, which is also up 50% since that video. So make sure you're subscribed if you're missing out on some of this content. And I know you're probably like, well, these are all big market cap coins. I can't see such potential for upside. Fair enough, right? Wormhole still sits here with $750 million market cap. So here's a very simple thing you can do. Okay, if you've got more time, perhaps you have, go down through, identify each of these different coins, find out a little bit about what they do. If you've heard of them, great. There's probably a good reason you've heard of them. Click on the ones you've heard of. If you like the narrative, if you like that they've got a good team, they seem to be going quiet, no one's really talking about them, like Bitenza, they will come back strongly. Choose maybe 2 to 4 in the top 100. Then what? Come across to page 2. This is the number 100 to 200 market cap. Obviously, slightly smaller market caps, slightly bigger risk, but slightly bigger reward. You can then go and choose a couple of coins from the top of this. Echelon Prime, absolute beast. AI Agents, crossover with gaming. Phenomenal, what an opportunity right now. Singularity Net, Ocean Protocol, absolute monster AI projects that are bleeding because everyone's just lost the attention, but that will come back. But that will come back when the people who manipulate these markets to shake you out want to get back in. Go to page 3, have a look at some of these different options, and it will make life incredibly easy. Now, later on this week, I'm going to do a live stream where I'm going to talk about the coins that I would be selecting from these particular lists right now. I'll be identifying buy zones on various different coins, like I did with Pyth here, like I did with Ajax and whatever else. You can sign on, you can ask me questions, I'll go and take a look at different coins as well. Because eventually, if you follow this strategy and you start to buy the bottom, where we've been talking about B5 for a while, it's obviously bled heavily towards the downside, but eventually when the narrative starts to heat up, you're going to see moves like this, where it's up 42% in just 2 days. You will then, if you've been DCAing incorrectly, pretty much be back to break even if you were down because you were buying up here, and then times are good, right? Now guys, this video is just designed to bring you a bit of stability, to a bit of calm to this world, to know that you're in exactly the right place. And if you're feeling a bit down in the dumps and not really sure which way to turn, hopefully this has been a bit of a guiding light for you to be able to go and identify the best opportunities. I remember this every time. If I keep buying the dips, then it will all work out okay in the end. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you smash that like button.